Hello, welcome pen friends. Welcome to another ink singles profile. Today we're going to do Monteverde California Teal. Now this gets a little bit tough because the camera and the lighting kind of wreak havoc with us, but we're going to press on and see what we can do here. This is a beautiful green ink with a sheen to it, and oh, it's got a lot of interesting properties. So it's Monteverde California Teal, and I have a full bottle of it. I have a 90 ml bottle of it that I got free with purchase from Goulet Pens, so I can actually show you, the ink bottle and everything. And it's really good ink. I like the brand very much, so I'm excited to share this with you, and I love the color. So let's get it into the bath test, because that's critical there. And this is where some of the confusion starts to clear up, because look at all that blue coming out. We know it's a green, but definitely we are seeing blue. And we'll see what happens with that over the course of our video making. But here's the last ink we did, which was KWZ Cappuccino. And it's pretty much gone. Certainly the color's gone, but you can read it still. So some pigment stayed behind, and I just wanted to follow up with you on that. So let's get right into the Rhodia Gold book. There's a lot to say about this ink, really a lot going on with it. So I got it into here, and I think from now on, when I do one that I have a full bottle, I'll make a little icon so I'll remember too that I have a full bottle of it. And it didn't cost me anything because I was buying a pen and I got to select from Goulet Pens a free bottle. But if they're $15 for the 90 ml. Available lots and lots of places, but I did see Anderson Pens has a 3 ml sample for $1.25. That's a good deal. And here we see it on Tomoe River little insert papers that I do for my journal, and it's got all that red sheen. It's really impressive what it does. And on some of the papers, it's sort of highlights or sheens even in your writing. So it depends on your nib and your paper. But here it is in the broad nib, and coming across or coming through the camera, it's looking darker than it should. In real life, I'm seeing it brighter, a little brighter green, but we're just going to have to, I guess, live with that. And then down here, we have it in the fine nib, the Lamy fine nib. I love this ink. I can't really give a first impression of it because I've had it over a year, and it's just really beautiful. I love the properties of the ink, the flow and the saturation. And then that red sheen, you never know where that's going to show up, and I'll show you in a minute because it showed up on some unusual papers, I thought. And then it has nice shading, not as extreme as some of my favorites, but it definitely has shading. So, okay, here it is as far as what happened when I conducted the chromatography. There, my goodness, my brain needs to wake up here. Chromatography test. So yellow and blue, so no surprise there, right? Okay, so let's get into some more notebooks and see what it did. Here we have the little Leuchtturm 1917 dot grid notebook. It's a small one, like almost a pocket size. And here it is with the broad nib, and kind of flattens on this a little, but I can still see some shading. It's just coming across so dark in the camera, which is weird because my lighting is good today. It's fairly good, almost as good as it gets. And then here it is in the Lamy fine nib. So I just consider this ink to be very well behaved. Doesn't bleed through, it doesn't feather on this paper, and I just enjoy this ink very much. Okay, and then let's get into the Nemesine notebook. This is where I like to see all of the range of the ink. And here, it's still looking a little darker than it actually is, but we're getting closer to a nice, close to what it really looks like in this one. We got a lot of red sheen going on. Hopefully you can pick that up. See, it gets darker. See, my natural light is off to the left, so that's where it really helps. And this is all in the Moon Man mini glass nib, starting here and running right across. Just a nice ink. And you can there's even a little shading here, which is hard to pick up on the camera, but I'm seeing it, even with the glass nib, which is kind of fantastic. So, there's that. Now, the next one is my little CVS caliber notebook. It's very inexpensive. It's a paper that doesn't like all inks, though. It'll flatten out your ink color in a heartbeat if it's not saturated enough. So it does like this Monteverde ink. It's okay on here, really okay, because this is nice and dark and saturated. And on this cheapy paper, we get all this astounding red sheen, which just blows my mind. But you even get it in the writing. You get a red tint, is what I would call it. I wouldn't, you know, I'm not very technical, but to me it's like, oh, I tinted my writing red. That's what I saw. And then here we drop down, here's the broad nib, and then we drop down into the Lamy fine nib. And I put a note, still a nice wet writer on this paper in Lamy fine nib. So that makes me happy. And I don't know if you can tell, but the two little eyes look red on the smiley. It's so strange that it would do that on this really inexpensive paper, but it did. Okay, so next is our new notebook, Live Notes, from Pen Gallery, and it's 68 GSM 5mm dot grid paper. So this is a new exploration for me to have it on this paper. And here it is. Let's see if we can get... I thought it kind of, the little sample, a swatch painted on, flattened on this paper more, in terms of it didn't give as much shading in the painted on part. But we still have shading in the writing, and it looked nice, I thought. Nice and dark, nice and pretty, even in Lamy fine nib. So now this is our opportunity to compare it with the Tomoe River 52 gram. So, but let me hold that up first. Here we are right here. This is a little experiment I wanted to run just to give you a comparison. But, so here's the Monteverde California Teal and the broad nib and the fine nib. And there's the little swatch. Now, you know, it just did some edging there that it didn't do on the 68 gram. And I'm sure you could see that. It did a little more sort of shading and trickiness there, which is kind of pretty. If you were doing art on your notebook, that would be what you'd be wondering about. What am I going to get? And so for that, I like it better on the 52 gram white paper. But mostly, we're looking for the writing. So let's see here. You know, they both look excellent in the nibs, and held up really well. The saturation was good. You know, very good for both. So hopefully that helps. I'm not sure, but we'll hope so. And here's Clairefontaine 90 gram French ruled paper. Oh, it's looking so dark through the camera. And it did get, you know, a little red sheen and some shading there. And lots of shading on the actual writing. I saw more shading on this paper, which was interesting to me. Very interesting. And again, it held up great in the fine nib. There's plenty of saturation and flow for this for these papers, so I really am happy with that. Okay, here's Rhodia dot pad 80 gram white paper. Very nice. Lots of shading that I'm picking up with my eye, and I hope you can see it. And there's the little swatch there. Gives you a little bit of a dark to light. And down into the Lamy fine nib. I forgot to write that, but there it is. Okay, and on Hamlin optic paper, I was just really astounded by this. Can you see that red sheen? I think you probably can, even with all the lighting and camera finagle there. It just was gorgeous on this. Really pretty. And it holds up just as well as anything else. Any of the other papers, even the Clairefontaine. I really like how it looked on here. So definitely I'll be writing some letters on this. I just got done writing a long letter to a new pen friend on the Tomoe River paper. So that person will get a nice glimpse at how this looked on that paper. And then, last but not least, here's the Hewlett-Packard Laser Premium 32 that I'm testing out from a friend who sent it. And it flattened out on here like it did on the Leuchtturm, but it looks nice, and it, you know, let's see. Okay, it tried to bleed through, but only where it was painted on, which, I hope that wasn't a mistake. We didn't look at bleed through on anything else, but let's see. I don't believe there was any. And that, a lot of times when there isn't any, this is the Rhodia and the Clairefontaine. I just kind of skip over that, but I got to learn, so. Okay, and on the 52 gram white paper, this might be important for an artist. It did try to bleed through. And I forgot to mention, I pulled out the Robert Oster Tranquility, and that'll segue into the next segment, because I just wanted to show you how different that can look on different papers, where Monteverde California Teal, you know, it's leaning toward green, and this one almost looks like it leans toward green on here, but yet I can see the blue too. The Tranquility is much more confusing to my eye than the Monteverde. The Monteverde California Teal, I can tell that it's trying to be green. And with this one, I think it can, it's like a chameleon or something. But that gets me into the next thing I wanted to show you. But we'll skip on. We'll look at this at least and see how it's doing. Okay, the ink is very typical and it's disappeared pretty much completely, but we'll let it finish its work there. And just right before we get today's panel, let's look at, all right, this is today's ink, Monteverde California Teal. And I just wanted to show it side by side with Tranquility, but I did not get it onto today's panel. So anyway, I think that this sort of does demonstrate that, you know, I really believe Monteverde California Teal is trying to be green, and that Robert Oster Tranquility, as much green as there is in it, it to me seems to be going toward blue, you know, and that might depend on what we're looking at, you know, what paper, but there it is here. Anyway, I wanted to show you before we hopped on. And then this one, this is driving me crazy, because when I first started to do the profile, I was so sure that J. Arbonne Emerald of Chivor, you know, was going to make it on the panel and looked like California Teal. And I don't know where I got that idea, because clearly this one wants to be blue, and it has no confusion about the fact that it wants to be blue. But of course it's called Emerald of Chivor, and I guess when I think of emerald, I think of green, but okay. It's really not a angry frustration. It's just kind of a fun thing. But here we go. Here's today's, and I did put it right in the middle. This is a exclusive for this ink comparison, which it was challenging in a way, because it's such a unique ink, and then a lot of these others that are in that range are also unique. And I've been sitting here trying to decide which one of mine is the most like it, the most like California Teal. And I just can't decide, really. I'd probably have to play around with them more. I've written an awful lot with Sitzkreuznock Palm Green. And it's lighter, but it's beautiful. And it's got a lot of similar properties, I think. Let's see. What I think now is I could have put Tranquility on here. I probably would have gone just as well as either of these greens. Down here we have Monteverde Yosemite Green right below California Teal. And then Caran d'Ache Vibrant Green over to the far right. And, you know, really I could have put this on here too. It's, you know, it's in that ballpark. Maybe even better than these two greens. But that's the way it is. That's how the cookie crumbles. Let's see, what else? Well, Robert Oster Peppermint has a lot in common with it. An awful lot. And it may be the closest match. I'm not sure. And then this is new to me. The Robert Oster River of Fire was sent to me by a pen friend just recently. And so I can't wait to get that in a nib. I haven't had this one in a nib. I have used all but like a drop and a half of my peppermint. I just really love that ink. Let's see. What else? Well, the Birmingham ink, Thomas Mellon Evergreen, it kind of made me think of it, but it's lighter. It's quite a bit lighter. It's not going to be quite as saturated, or if it is, it's going to be a different tone of color. And then mint turquoise, well, you know, that's my checkerboard that I end up with sometimes when I'm so convinced that something is, you know, belongs on the panel. But anyway, it's pretty and it's fun, and hopefully you'll find something that'll that'll help you place this ink a little bit better. And let's look and see what it did on the visual journal, which was really fun today. Oh my goodness, ta-da! Finally, you know, a complicated enough ink that it did some spectacular stuff, I thought. You know, and I didn't do anything really. This is, you know, I didn't even want to go in and mess it up because I really liked what it was doing. So although I started with Nick Stewart's landscape technique idea there, you know, doing it like that, I didn't go back in and make anything. I just let it stand because I liked it. I thought, oh, that's wild what it's doing. And it's actually got red sheen. I'm hoping you can see it, but it's going to be real hard to show. Maybe, let's see. No, it's hard to show, but as you can see, there's a wild range of like green lime color and teal, turquoise coming out, dark green, red. You know, that's kind of fun. That's what I like about this process. And then this is just the, you know, the Petri dish or whatever. I put water down and then just took the paintbrush and just did dabs. And isn't that kind of spectacular? I like that. I don't get sick of doing this. I really don't. I love seeing what happens and how all this turquoise kind of just came across there. I thought that was neat too. Lots and lots of fun. Oh my goodness. So I hope this helps give somebody who might have been thinking about Monteverde Teal and wondering if it's for you, give you a little bit of a help on it. It's funny how some of these inks behave though in terms of lighting, and I'm trying to just play with it to see, you know, with the lighting in the camera, we do get distortions, and we get even more so sometimes when we hop on a pen store and try to look at their swatches. I mean, I have just as much trouble when it comes to that, when I'm in that seat of trying to decide, you know, which one am I going to get a sample of, and is it going to be what I really want? So hopefully that'll help a little. And then what is next, of course, we will be getting a ink flight very soon. I just today got my confirmation that it's on its way. You know, it's making its way from New Jersey to Texas, and when it lands, we're going to have fun. So I still have 2 of the Tasha inks that I want to do, Tasha Cha or T and Tasha Sora. And then I got in, new to me from a pen friend yesterday, KWZ Meet Me in St. Louis, which I have to look that up and see if that was, I know it was special for a pen show, but I'm not sure if it's available, you know, or not. And then I had ordered a notebook that I desperately needed, so I got a sample of Diamine Flamingo Pink. And I hate to show this other one right beside that one because it'll do something probably. And then Monteverde Coral. So those 2 little samples were just, see, because it starts, it's like, is this orange or what is this? And then this is such a nice bright pink, but get it beside another color and it goes crazy. So those are just a few of what I'm looking at and what's, you know, coming next, and as I can and as I go through things. So thank you very much for being here, and do let me know in the comments, do you have this ink? Do you like it? What do you think of it? What, you know, maybe you've got inks too that look even more like this. I'm wondering about a shimmer ink that might be close to it, but I do have another one that could have gone on the panel. It was a Diamine, it has forest in the name, but anyway, I guess my brain's trying to branch out a lot, and it's like I do have to make decisions sometimes about what I'm going to compare it with. The infinite numbers that of inks we could compare it with. So let me know what you think, and thank you very much for watching. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.